Nathan,
Hello.
hi. Just want to say thank you very much for that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I will go away and do some research, and I'll hopefully join you again sometime.
Hey, Richard,
No, it was a pleasure.
I think Nathan was really kind. Look, it started out quite good, but at the end there, respectfully, probably got a bit heated because Nathan was having, he alluded to it, educate you on your own model. And you kind of got a lot of the things there, but I think you need to get a little grasp of the heliocentric ball model with regards to this edge that you're arguing about. And I appreciate on a ball, the edge will continually move and change its location compared to a cube. I understand that point, but what we're trying to point out to you is that from an observer, that edge at distance begins to have an effect. And you may know the phrase, it's 8 inches per mile squared. That's the rate at which it starts to apply, and it starts to interfere, which is why on a ball you have to tilt your camera down into the distance. Go and look at the maths of that. And once you do that, the consequence is that that edge of the ball starts to interfere. Now, obviously, on a basketball, it interferes very quickly. It interferes a lot slower, which is why I think you're pushing it into the realms of not needing to be dealt with, but it does. And it compounds at a rate of 8 inches per mile. So the first is only 8 inches, but at 3, yeah, it's 9 times, it's 72 inches, isn't it? So it really starts to, as you start to apply that distance, increase the effect of the geometry at an exponential rate. So look at it, mate, because I think if
Hey,
you grasp
Adam, do you know what else roughly works out at about the same rate?
Eyeballs. Like,
The rate I was using analogy with the brick disappearing, i.e. perspective, the rate things will disappear from bottom up if you applied the Rayleigh criterion, the angular limitation of anything with an aperture.
there was a guy on Ranties last night, and his whole supposition that the reason it's a ball is when he takes measurements, they match the ball. It kind of again lays the ignorance that obviously if you were going to build the ball and take the measurements to make a model, say it's a ball, the first thing you have to do is take those measurements, which will then translate into the size of balls you're going to make it out to be. So it was a kind of a what's the correct word, Nathan? You'll give me the correct thing. It's the consequent.
Well, it's circular reasoning. They're building a ball up in our vision, in Muppet Vision, based on geometric measurements, physical measurements. But then when you get to the point that they're juxtaposing the physicality with what we actually see and how things disappear from bottom up with perspective, they will flip-flop between actual effects that we observe and geometric effects that are dictated by the physical edge of their sphere. So at the moment, it's got to the point where they're saying it's looming. So you've got them, because we've got a picture that's basically impossible on a sphere, they're saying the edge is being loomed. So you've got the edge above the horizon. So the horizon's looming above the horizon. That's what we've got to in the point where, the obvious and observable nature of reality is flat. And the only way to work it back geometrically is to back calculate what your eye observes and then put that into physicality. Now that's been crapped all over recently with high zoom cameras and people actually having a look. They get around it with refraction. But it's based on the same exact geometry, you're just bending light from beyond the curve. But then when the curve starts moving, the edge starts moving, it causes a real problem, which I think is just great. It breaks the calculator completely, this black swan argument. I just think it's priceless. I'm going to bang on about it indefinitely till everyone understands it. Because up until now, we've had a draw, basically. Would you not agree, Adam? I say we see it because it's there. They say, no, it's actually a mirage, and it's come back from behind the curve. But then when the curve that it's come back from starts moving, they're fucked. I just think that's priceless.
Ranty's got it as well. It's an impossibility now because of the limitations of their geometry. They like I said, previously those effects were there. Whilst we can call bullshit on 7/6R, we can't disprove it. It's hard to disprove. But now their geometry requires a level of optical magic to occur that's just actually by their own definitions a contradiction of the definition itself, that it does now become just nonsense that they're trying to paint what the illusion is.
Exactly. It's an impossibility based on the geometry. It's a geometric impossibility. Now, what does that mean? Well, you can't have the physical edge being in a different place because it's got to be physically there for them to extrapolate out things like 7/6r. It's all based on that starting point, the radius. And what was it Anthony said? He was having an argument, I think, over Skype with Ruhif. And Ruhif just said, oh no, you get around this by just changing r. I was like, and Anthony argued back and forth with him. I'm like, no. That's the point you've won. Because the r is the starting point for all this nonsense. You can't just change it. That's what gives you the rest of the maths that goes along with it. The r bit's the only bit that can't change. Because what are they doing by changing it? Well, this will make sense for the way Ben phrased it. Well, they're moving the physical size of the sphere out. In other words, oh yeah, it's still a physical edge, but it's just much, much bigger today. In other words, r's bigger. Well, no. The only reason you've got the r values is because you reversed engineered what the sky did. Made the celestial sphere into an earth sphere. Well, as soon as you start diddling with r, none of that works anymore. So the whole back engineering is done for a reason, fixed for their model. So no, you can't diddle with r, but once r breaks, i.e. Black Swan Horizon being in the wrong place, proving unequivocally it isn't a physical edge, a geometric impossibility. For a sphere believer, for us, happy days. Finally no longer a draw. Oh, well, it's just a bit more looming. Oh, well, that building's just come back from beyond the Earth curve edge a bit more today because of refraction. Well, no. What about the edge? That's why we've got more dancing on fire. They're all like, oh, well, let's look at the cranes, look refraction, what else could be happening? It's all bending back from behind the edge. It's like you're all ignoring that there's a horizon way off in the distance that's basically your geometry fucked. But they all ignore it because the only thing they can do is bend light around the edge. So, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to change r or admit that your model's broken. And you can't change r because you're basically inflating the size of your sphere belief. You can't do that. It's got a physical geometry to it. It's supposed to be a physical size. Not, oh, I'll change the size of it today because the weather's changed. But that's the bottom line, isn't it? The size of Earth's sphere would change with the weather. That's basically what it boils down to.
Right, well, once again, thanks for having me on. I'm going to have to go, guys. But take care. And, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Richard, wait.
He's been trying to duck out for ages. I mean, the only thing Hadi have said I'd want to talk to him about was the Flat Earth Society stuff. You know, it's like, I was going to ask him while we were in heavy heated debate. It's like, why would you go and ask the Flat Earth Society why NASA are lying? Ask the Flat Earth Society controlled up narrative why NASA have lied to you. Interesting, but nonetheless, that was how it came out.
Richard, when you go, try not to cut yourself on one of those many edges from the sphere. Please, be careful. There are so many. They are everywhere.
Yeah, what are you? Thick are you? Right, I'm going to stick my camera on and hopefully do a reasonable job of explaining my point. Where's my transition button? There it is. So we've got a ball and we've got what I'm going to claim is a boat. We're going to take this boat and put it on the ball. So obviously visible for you at this point. Now, when it gets to the point that it is over a certain point, I'm going to look over so I can see my camera and monitor what I'm doing. At this point, oh, you can't see it, the audience can. Just bear with me. So at this point, there is a physical edge of the sphere that is obstructing the boat. So the bottom of the boat can be seen here, and as it travels over the edge of the physical sphere, it is claimed to be on the reality, or in the reality that we face, obstructed by a physical sphere edge. Boat going over the horizon is boat going over a reified sphere edge. So this is the edge that you all deny. Just want to point that out so that people know what I'm talking about when I say, no, you do have a physical edge blocking the bottom of things. Because suddenly that's being denied now we're debunking it. What a shock. I'm done.
The things ballers get us to explain.
Ballers got what?
I said the things ballers get us to explain.
Well, we have to suddenly explain their own religion when it gets beaten. Same with Coriolis. What's that you say? Earth and atmosphere travel as one? Well, that doesn't give you a Coriolis effect. The argument that we're using here, or you're using here to prove we're spinning, is that we've got a Coriolis deviation. Why are we spending endless hours arguing about how you think Earth and atmosphere travel as one, which wouldn't yield that effect? Because ultimately somebody at some point's pointing out that, hold on, we don't have a Coriolis effect. And they've gone, no, we're not supposed to. And that's the same here. Hold on, we don't have boats going over the edge, they just get too small to see. No, we don't have an edge. That's what we get.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
Isn't it?
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley Nathan Oakley premiering stream on Nathan Oakley channel, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!